Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexis and today I'm going to be sharing my selections for the Asian Readathon of 2023. This is something that consists of 5 challenges. I will be linking them right here as well, but essentially this list was created by with Cindy. I will be linking her original announcement in the description box down below. I also attempted this last year for the 2022 Asian Readathon, so feel free to check that out in the cards above. Before I share my selections, I would also like to share a little fun fact. So you may have seen my thumbnail for this video posing like this. In Filipino culture, it is considered the pogi pose. That is spelled P-O-G-I. Excuse me if I slightly pronounced it wrong because I wasn't even 100% sure what it was called until I had to double check with my mom. It used to be something that we used to do all the time in photos, but we haven't been doing it recently and I'm not 100% sure if it's still a thing, but hey, it's a little throwback and a little cultural acknowledgement. So if you are new to my channel, I am biracial. I identify as Black and Filipina. So yeah, this is exciting. I'm hoping to try new authors, maybe touch base on some books that I didn't get to last year and expand it to new authors, trying different formats, whether it's physical or audiobook, ebooks, whatnot. So let's get into my selection. Now, I'm going to first start off with my physical TBR because this is a small stack technically from last year that I did not get to, and I still want to try, but I'm also not too pressed about getting to. And the first book would be Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. You may have seen this pop up in previous videos, whether I was talking about Asian Readathon last year or time before that when I was actively trying to read this. But like I said, it's been a hot minute, and this was turned into a Hulu show that stars Kerry Washington and Reese Witherspoon, phenomenal actors, and their characters are so believable. Made me antsy and anxious and annoyed but tragic at the same time. It was all just wonderful. If you haven't seen that show yet, it's one season, I believe 8 episodes if I remember correctly. Definitely worth rewatching as well. Hope to get back to it someday. But this is supposed to be the inspiration for that show. It follows 2 families in suburban area. One is an all-white middle class, I believe, family, and the other is a single parent family consisting of only her mother and daughter. So Reese Witherspoon's character is of the middle class family, and Kerry Washington character is the single mom. So in their neighborhood, one of the other people who's not from either of their families decides to adopt an Asian child, and it involves lawsuit, and there's meaning to the title, as there should always be. But I have yet to actually pick up the source, so maybe this is the year. Or maybe it's not. Only time will tell. Hopefully in a month, we'll see where I'm at. The next choice I have here was also mentioned in my Asian Readathon last year, but I didn't get to, and I have attempted this as well, but maybe it wasn't the right time, and this could be the round that gets it done. But essentially this follows Chloe and Jeremy. Jeremy is the Duke, who didn't, and Chloe is his best friend. Well, at least they used to be really close growing up, but he finally comes back around, and she didn't know his true identity. He asks her to help him woo a woman, but she has no idea that she is the woman he's referring to, and it's supposed to be around that. It sounds cute, but when I was reading it at the time, it just wasn't the vibe. Maybe this is question mark. It's just a big question mark for this one. So we'll see. Next here I have Don't Fall in Love by Jackie Lau. This is the story about Ryan and Lindsay, and it seems Lindsay owns a bakery shop in which Ryan knocks down some of her goods. Ryan is essentially there because he was trying to get away from the negative publicity surrounding a rom-com he was involved in. So it sounds like he's in the entertainment industry, and she is supposed to be the ordinary girl, very Hallmark-esque. It looks like it will be mentioning a bit of grief as well because mentioned loss of loved one. I haven't tried anything by this author yet, but this could be the first. Now, you may have heard of this one, Ballet for Aunties. I certainly intended on getting to it last year. Clearly it didn't happen because I'm mentioning it in this video. This is about Madeline Chan, Madeline. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce her character's name, but I can certainly check it out before reading because I know I'm going to want to read it correctly in my head. And this is supposed to be about her Chinese Indonesian family. Essentially, she is supposed to be on a date with somebody, but unfortunately, he dies or she accidentally kills him. And she decides to call the aunties to help her get rid of the body. So yeah, this already has a sequel book that obviously I didn't get to, but I know is out there in the world waiting to be read. But before I can even decide to jump into that, I have to read the first one and see if it's even to my liking. It sounds very rom-com, and we love our aunties in the world, so maybe this is the year. Now, with all of my physical picks out of the way, the first book I'm hoping to get to that is ebook or audiobook format would be King of Pride by Anna Huang. This released today, April 27th, and it is book 2 in the Kings of Sin series. This is a spin-off series from the Twisted series, which was picked up by Bloom Publishing. I did read that series already. I enjoyed it for the most part. I'm also getting into the If Love series by Anna Huang, so this will be my third series by her, and I'm very excited but also nervous, and I'll explain why. This is a story following Kai and Isabella. She goes by Isa for short, if you don't know. From the previous book, they are both Asian leads, and I'm very excited for that because, again, it's rarely seen in romances. Just the mention of people of color in romances is hardly mentioned. For this, Isabella is supposed to be half Chinese and half Filipina American. I myself identify as half Filipina American, so there you go. I already see some alignment there, but her character is supposed to be more carefree compared to Kai, who is more reserved, and he's a billionaire, he's a CEO. He is in fact the member or one of the members for the club that Isabella works for and bartends at. So there's also that forbidden aspect, not supposed to be fraternizing with guests. And yeah, I already was intrigued by their interactions from King of Wrath. So I'm excited but nervous, but I can definitely see myself binging this, but also getting too scared. So this one's definitely up there and likely to be picked up soon, very soon. Another book I'm hoping to get to would be Once Upon a Sunset by Tiff Marcello. I will admit this did come up in previous TBRs, but clearly I didn't get to it because I'm mentioning it again. And this, in fact, is supposed to follow Diana. She is in Washington, D.C., and she's a gynecologist there. But after losing a loved one and having her mom move in with her and her boyfriend breaking up with her because of this, and an unfortunate decision related to medical work in the hospital she's in, she's forced to take a sabbatical. And essentially, while she is away, her mother stumbles upon a box of letters from her grandfather to her grandmother from the 1940s. But this is certainly going to talk a little bit about identity, family history, some romance as well. Not sure if it's going to be about Diana or solely about her grandmother and grandfather. So maybe I'll get to this. I said that last year. It didn't happen, but maybe this is the year. This is the year to get to this one. Another story I've been looking into is First Comes Like by Alicia Ray. This is book 3 in the Modern Love series. However, I'm not too bothered by it being out of order because it sounds like this can be read as a standalone. Normally, I like to read in publication order as intended by the author, but I'm going to see about making an exception for this one. It looks to be about Ja and Deb. Deb is essentially from a Bollywood family and he is a known soap opera star, but he is interested in Ja, who is a beauty expert and influencer who apparently was DM'd by someone with his name on the account. So it sounds like a catfishing situation, social media involvement there, fake dating is mentioned as well in the synopsis, paparazzi, so entertainment industry people or celebrity status people. So we'll see about this one. I'm not too much in a rush with this one. It does sound very rom-com-esque, and for me, I do tend to lean more toward the more emotional and gut-wrenching type of stories. But you never know. A little bit of rom-com and lightheartedness every now and then doesn't hurt anybody. Now, every now and then, I can appreciate a nice retelling, whether it be books or movies. But like I said, sometimes I can appreciate it. This one in particular is called Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Deb. This is book 1 in the Rajas series. So it seems to be following Indian American families. Essentially, Trisha Raj, or Dr. Trisha Raj, is a neurosurgeon renowned in San Francisco. Her family's not very accepting or supportive of her. Essentially, they just don't want her getting in her brother's way for his political aspirations. Whereas on DJ Kane's end, her love interest, he is familiar with people like Trisha, or at least he assumes that she is a certain way, coming from a well-off family, and he needs a job that her family is offering and whatnot. But he also needs to put his pride aside in order for Trisha to potentially save his sister regarding surgery. So it sounds like a gender swap situation, considering Jane Austen's story, Pride and Prejudice, if you're not familiar. In that case, it was the male lead's family that was well off and had assumptions, and the female lead did not, and she came from a different family of a different class and a lower class, but they were able to connect over a period of time and, you know, put assumptions aside, put their pride aside, and come to an understanding and finally be together. So, considering I enjoy Jane Austen's stories, or at least the movie adaptations, I have yet to read one myself. I know that's a fault of mine, but maybe one day I'll get there. So yeah, this one has potential. It's new to me author. I'm open. I'd say I'm pretty open. Another story that may be read sometime in May is Her Big City Neighbor by Jackie Lau. I did find this on Hoopla, and it is book 1 in the Cider Bar Sisters series. This is supposed to follow Amy and Victor. Amy decides to move into a house that she inherits in Toronto to be away from her family and her ex, who seemed to underappreciate her, And then her next door neighbor turns out to be Victor. Before you know it, they familiarize themselves with each other and things go from there. Seems like a quick read. It's something. Now, the last book on my May TBR for the Asian Readathon for Asian American Heritage Month would be Angel's Blood by Nalini Singh. This is book 1 in the Guild Hunter series. I have yet to read a book by this author, but certainly on my TBR. In fact, multiple series by this author are already on my TBR, and I just haven't picked them up yet. They are primarily paranormal or fantasy romances, at least based on the descriptions I've read about them. This one is supposed to follow Elena and Raphael. Essentially, Elena is a vampire hunter hired by the Archangel Raphael to hunt another archangel gone bad. So sounds like workplace romance, kind of. Definitely paranormal, fantasy aspect in here, some suspenseful elements. So I don't know too much about this series in particular. If anything, I hear more about the Side Changeling series by this author, but I had been more interested in winged creatures for some reason. You'll be seeing that reason later on when I talk about my April reads. I did recently complete a fantasy romance, but I'll talk about that one later on. So yes, I've been more in the mood for winged creatures, and yeah, we'll see where this one goes. And those are all the books that I picked for my May TBR, or in other words, Asian Readathon for 2023. This is a reminder that May is considered Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I will also like to note that I did do a video talking about the various heritage months. I posted that at the beginning of the year, but I will link it in the cards above if you want to check that out. I also recommend looking into With Cindy's announcement. I will link that in the description box down below. If you have any recommendations for me, or if you just want to share what you're reading for this year, let me know. But with that being said, my name's Alexis, and until next time, take care and happy reading.